Good evening. It's great to see so many familiar and new faces here for the Buckley Program's 6th Annual Conference. My name is Josh Altman, and it has been my pleasure to serve as the student president of the Buckley Program this past year. While campus has been embroiled in attempted disinvitations, protests, and debates on renaming, the Buckley Program has passed several significant milestones, as Lauren mentioned. Since the fall protests, which many of you witnessed firsthand at our conference last year, the Buckley Program has received over 100 new applications from students. And this fall alone, we've received 81 new student fellows, making our total fellow count nearly 220. And what this means is that in a mere 6 years, the Buckley Program has become one of the largest student organizations on Yale's campus. I think it's fair to say that this has not just been a good year for the Buckley Program, it's been an extraordinary year. Now, this should come as no surprise to us because 2016 is, well, an unconventional year, to say the least. As one of my friends opined, for Americans, 2016 might be one of those years that scholars drool over for decades, but the rest of us kind of flip through as quickly as we can in our history textbooks. And when Lauren and I started brainstorming a topic for this year's conference, we reflected on previous year's topics. God and Man at Yale, Suicide of the West, free speech. These were great conferences with topics that were both pertinent and sturdy. But this year, the conference had to provide a topic that, unlike Hillary Clinton's plan to defeat ISIS, actually maintained the element of surprise. The topic we decided upon, the future of the party system in America, promised also to be unlike Donald Trump's behavior, misbehavior, and scandals because it seemed actually difficult to predict. For many students, the 2016 election has juxtaposed our civic education with reality. We grew up in the early 2000s where historians and political scientists proclaimed that democracy is the end of history. And yet, as we've matured, we've grown up with the Arab Spring, the breakdown of supranational federations, and of course, resurgent populism, both on the left and the right here at home. In this moment, I'm reminded of our founders' skepticism toward democracy and its excesses. They were skeptical toward democracy not because they detested liberty or equality, but because their philosophical forefather, Plato, warned that democracy may disregard the fine principles which we solemnly laid down at the foundation of the Republic. There's even that very famous line in the Republic about how, in order to win the support of the people, politicians can act anything like a bad hombre and a nasty woman. They're allowed to, apparently. But in all seriousness, this election has tested our faith in democracy. And for students at Yale, it has forced serious introspection. For most of us, this question is particularly poignant because 2016 is the first general election that we can vote in, the first time we're able to elect our president. And for conservative and liberal students, this election has fractured the party system and confounded our notions of political alignment in this country. And just this week, the Yale Daily News released another poll which found that among students who identify as Republicans, 29.92% said they will vote for Hillary Clinton, slightly more than the 26.14% of the Republicans who said they will support Trump. These findings are telling. Although, to be completely honest, Donald Trump will probably keep us in suspense as to whether or not this YDN poll is truly rigged. He hasn't tweeted about it yet, but he might have in this 3-minute span here. But what the poll demonstrates is that this confusion leads to confusion for many Yaleys and for many Buckley Fellows. And as Bill Galston, one of our panelists today, had pointed out in a recent column, the fissures in the GOP are now so severe that it is extraordinarily difficult to imagine how certain groups of Republicans and Democrats will be domiciled after the 2016 election. And the panelists who have joined us here today did an excellent job relaying their thoughts on what history and political science anticipates this 2016 climate to look like. And from my perspective, many of those demographic and social changes among Buckley Fellows suggest that realignments and shifts in policy may accompany this election. And if the changing composition of the Buckley program demonstrates anything, we're finding that American youth have identities and policy preferences that don't neatly map on to the fifth party system. a gay conservative, a pro-life feminist, a Catholic socialist. These are identities that our party system may overlook, but you need look no further than this room to see that they exist. Although major kudos to the socialist Catholic here tonight, who's living up to their principles by eating a free steak dinner on a Friday at a fancy gala. But no judgment, to each according to their need. Before I close, I would like to thank several people who have made this year so successful. First and foremost, without Lauren Noble, there would be no Buckley program, and there would be no conference. And I'm truly indebted through all the work I've been able to do with the Buckley Program Student Board. And they've done everything from planning events, organizing events, leading events. So a big thank you to Kyle Tierney, Alexis Greganius, Maddie Fortier, Pranam Day, Molly Johnson, Kevin Altianu, Karina Kowalczyk, William Strench, and Cameron Kaufman. Thank you all, and please enjoy the rest of your evening.